Two people can be the same age group, same income, same education. One grows with option and the other one works longer than planned. And that's what we see going on. I would like to explain this by using the generational tags that we know. We have the boomers. These are people between the ages of 1946 to 1964. And we have the generational X, which are people from 1965 to 1980. Then we have the millennials. These are the generations from 1981 to 1996.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, sure. And we also have the Gen Zs. These are the group of people from 1997 to 2012. And we have the Generation Alpha. These are from 2013 to 2025. And now we have from 2026 this year, and they're called what?
Generation Beta.
So you have a generation that you are older than now, since the beginning of 2026. So wealth was never evenly distributed in any of those generations that I just mentioned. Not the boomers, not the millennials, not the Gen X, none of them. And the funny thing about it is that inside any of those generations that I just mentioned, a small percentage of them actually really built wealth. And a very much larger percentage didn't. And I know you can relate with that. By the time I'm done with this, you'll be able to understand exactly what I'm saying. The real question is not when you were born, but it's actually what side of the system you are on. For those of you that did not know me, my name is Bibi Ofiri. I'm a multifamily investor and I teach people how to become financially free with multifamily. According to recent research earlier last year, boomers hold the largest wealth, but inside the boomer generation, only 20% of the boomers hold most of it. I want you to let that sink. For the fact that boomers are like the wealthiest in all the generations that I just mentioned, doesn't mean that all of them are actually wealthy. Similar with Gen X, same pattern. And millennial is even more extreme. Let's not even talk about Gen Zs at this point in time. Let's not talk about them right now. Have you noticed that some boomers are calm in retirement? I used to stay in California, in the area where I used to stay, a lot of wealthy people, and you see them driving in the evening with some luxurious fancy cars and all that. And when you just peep, you would just realize that these are old people, and you realize exactly that these are the 20% of the boomers that are holding the wealth. Similarly, when you go to some stores, and it pains me when I say it, I'm really pained, but you get there and you see similar age, the boomers standing for hours and working in Walmart. What happened? The same age, relatively might be the same income, even the same job, just different outcomes. And what is the reason for such a significant gap? One of them is retiring happy, living a fancy life, whereas the other one is living an anxious life. And same with the Gen X, you find out that some of them are living the life, and whereas some of them are actually very stressed. Similarly with the millennials, it's the same thing. But in everything I just mentioned, there's something that we always hear, which is actually very wrong. They say the boomers are the richest, whereas the Gen Zs are the poorest, or the millennials are the poorest. That is not accurate. What actually happened is that in every generation, there are owners and there are non-owners. So where do you fall? You own something or you don't. It's either you own something or you don't at all. So the difference is not intelligence or effort, but mainly ownership. That's why two people can be in the same group and have different outcomes. So how does ownership work? Ownership can work in different ways, but I'm going to streamline it into assets like multifamily. So every month rent is paid. The rent does not just disappear. Those rents are actually paid to build someone else's wealth. Or if you're into that, build your wealth. That is, someone else is paying someone to be wealthy. Isn't it funny? Most people spend years funding assets that they never own. I'm not saying that is bad. Some people feel they don't have the funds, so they decide to stay in apartments and all that, which, for crying out loud, there's nothing wrong with it. But the truth is that some people stay in those apartments. They can literally afford to own theirs, but they stay there. Maybe they don't know, or they are not aware that by them staying there, they're building someone else's wealth. They are not failures, or they don't fail, but they actually do not want to cross the line. What line am I talking about? Having to be the person funding somebody else's wealth, moving from there to being the one making the wealth from somebody else's money. So this is where multifamily really comes in. Some people have the misconception that they need millions of dollars before they can start investing in multifamily. I used to have similar ideology until I got to know better. But really, that's not true. Multifamily gives anyone that's interested in ownership to own a piece of an asset. How does that work? Literally, you can classify multifamily from properties that are from 5 units and above. That is what we classify as multifamily. Some people have the ideology that multifamily starts with duplex, 2, 3, 4. In multifamily terms, lenders start classifying multifamilies from 5 units, not 2, 3, 4. So the idea is that you are able to join effort with other people to buy one property or to buy different properties and all that. And that way it becomes very affordable and not out of reach for so many people. So the idea is that you buy a piece of an income producing asset. I did another video before this one where I was talking about people that they just want to own their assets and they do not like to partner or do multifamily syndication. So for those of you that know where multifamily syndication is people coming together, creating funds in a pool and buying an asset. Some people don't like it because they feel that they will not have control, ownership. If you've not seen that video, I would advise that you go look at it. But my major point here is that multifamily is created for those that are very wealthy and those that have minimal amounts to invest in. The idea is that you get a piece of it and start making money from assets that are income producing. The thing is, you're not buying toilets or tenants, you are buying ownership. That's what you're buying, equity with a small amount of money to own ownership. You are investing a small amount of money to buy ownership. And what is the ownership I'm talking about? You have cash flow, tax write-off, and long-term equity. And here's the truth that most people miss. You can't do it alone. Have you wondered why even the billionaires use people's funds under people's money to invest? Even the US uses people's funds to invest or to do stuff because nobody really builds wealth solo. And that is how multifamily is being structured. It's structured in such a way that you are partnering or you're building wealth with a team that have capital, experience, operations, and relationship. The wealthy do not ask, how do I do this alone? Now, the one common question that they ask is, who do I do this with? Go do your research. And that is why every day we are seeing significant turnaround or significant 360 degree of many professionals like doctors, engineers, and all that. We're seeing them quietly stepping into ownership. And that is not a joke. These guys are earning good money, but some of them understand the power of ownership. That's why, regardless of the fact that they make a lot of money as professionals, jumping from that line of just making money to owning. I'm not saying that they're quitting their jobs. No, these professionals don't quit their job. They do not become landlords, but they become partners. And that is how they get involved in ownership. This one shift that they decide to take changes everything. Multifamily is not loud wealth. It's not flashy, no hype. It is slow, predictable, and very powerful. The way people create wealth in multifamily feels like an underground operator. Initially, it might not be noticeable, but after a period, it becomes poor. That's how it happens. I've seen many investors that they come into multifamily just for a short period of time, and they're already like, the cash flow, how much are you giving me? How will this create wealth? Multifamily is a game of time, waiting patiently, and that is how the wealth is created. Tell me how I know. This is how some people take advantage of this in the different generation that I just stated. The boomers, the Gen X, the millennials, the Gen Z. In short, let's leave Gen Z for now. The truth is that most people are not doing this, not because they don't want to do it, but because no one explained to them how to go about it. They just sit in the income side of life. Some of them make good money, and some just on the average, and some make very low money. They just stay in that quadrant. They just stay in that income side and do not even know that there's something called ownership and how to go about it. So I'll leave you with this one question. In 10 years, does your income stop when you stop working? I need that to sink in. Or for some of you, is your ownership already working in the background because you started early? If this made you think, stay curious, because that's how the journey starts. So if you're looking at starting your multifamily journey and you feel that you need all the millions in this world to start it. Now you know that multifamily is structured in such a way that anyone and everyone, as long as you already can become an owner, so that you don't turn out to some of the boomers that are currently working out. They've passed the retirement age and they're still going and going, because the moment they stop, no one will take care of them. Now you know that you can actually start now and avoid that from happening, because your 401k, your IRA might not sustain you. Now we know that owning millions with the inflation and all that might not be capable of sustaining you throughout your retirement age. But the only thing that keeps coming, keeps producing money, is investing in ownership. Because regardless of whether you're working, retiring, or whatever it is that you're doing, the money keeps coming. Baby boomers are wealthy and some are very terrified to retire. And some Gen X look very successful, but if you search deeper, they're actually very stretched. Whereas some millennials are already becoming financially free, and some feel that the system is being rigged. Same generation, widely different outcomes. The difference wasn't intelligent, neither is it effort, but who got access to ownership and took advantage of it. Age doesn't decide wealth. Working harder neither does not decide wealth, but ownership does. Ownership does decide who becomes wealthy. So I'll wrap up by saying this. Two people can be the same age, the same school, even the same income. One will retire with options, whereas the other one would have none. Most people will think it's luck, timing, or just the generation that they belong to. But no, it is simply ownership. Let that sink in.